welcome to another episode of Dad's Rules with Kevin Belzer. Melissa Belzer is here with me. We're road tripping. We are currently in Colorado. We're about an hour and 40 minutes from our stop for the evening before we continue on to Arizona tomorrow to knock out the last 12 hours and change. Yeah, good times. We were not going to do this all in one shot over again of 29 and a half hours.
No.
That pretty much wiped us out.
Yes, that was the most exhausted I've been in a long time. And I can do a lot. And I've had, in the last 6 months, there's 2 or 3 times where I stayed up all night because I was doing work and doing stuff. And I was not at any point that exhausted, even with that, as I was right now. So, I don't know why. It just was, I guess.
Yeah, that was, it was a lot of fun.
Yes.
But
yeah, we had fun. It was just like, oh, I'm so tired.
it's funny how vacation can really wipe you out.
Well, because you want to do all the things with all the people while you're with
To me,
them.
though, it's a physical wipeout. It's not a mental wipeout.
Oh, yeah. Well, it must have been, because I was like, I could hardly fight it. So
I've kept my phone on Do Not Disturb for most of it.
Yeah.
And thankful to have a business partner that took over a lot of the deals that were being negotiated while I was gone. So that solved a lot of problems.
Yes. It managed a lot
not-
of challenges.
Yeah, not necessarily problems. Because putting deals in is not a problem.
No.
See, I'm tired, so I'm using the wrong words.
Right.
Let's do a card and see how loopy I am on a card. 'Cause, what we're doing is we're playing card games.
Oh, this is an interesting card. It's a life lesson.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I learned anything.
What's the best mistake you've ever made and why?
The best mistake I ever made. Well, in hindsight, the best mistake I ever made,
Let's see if you're saying what I'm thinking.
getting fired
Oh.
from Papa
Yeah.
John's in Indiana. That was the best mistake I ever
That's
made.
true.
Reason being is initially it wasn't, because initially
No, initially it was not.
it wasn't because you were pregnant.
Yeah. Extremely.
Yeah, and this is the Papa John's in Indiana. 'Cause
Ready
I worked
for-
for Papa John's in Arizona too.
Yeah.
But the Indiana one, yeah, getting fired from there, rightfully so. I totally 1000% deserved to be fired. I was an asshole. Do not break rule number 1.
Right.
So I deserved to get fired. However, I didn't realize it would be so difficult to replace the income I was making at the time. And you go, well, it's pizza. Yeah, I made a lot of money doing that. And ended up, you found a
Let's
job opportunity posted at Walmart.
Yeah, I'm going to get groceries.
Yeah.
Mama got to eat.
Yeah, but it was posted on there, and it initially started like part-time, and it real quick went to full-time
Yeah.
for doing courier work.
Yes.
Well, by doing that for the next, what was it, 3 years-ish? I think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I think it was about 3 years or so. Doing that in Indiana, for about 3 years, it gave me the job skill then to when we decided to leave the weather of Indiana and go to Arizona, I was able to right away, I'd say almost right away, because I tried a different gig first and hated it. But once I figured I didn't like that gig, I was able to put in the application for courier companies and got hired right away doing that. So I was doing that as well as delivering pizzas at the same time. But it set me up to be able to go to Arizona, I guess.
Yeah.
With a different skill.
Yes.
And the funny thing is that people go, really? It's like kind of like you're just delivery, courier, or whatever. Yeah, but what ended up happening out of that is I ended up learning the whole valley by driving courier. Like everything, every corner of the valley, the 2 counties that we had. And it ended up translating into when I went over to real estate, got my real estate license, I knew the whole valley. And it gave me a expertise that a lot of people won't have, because I was familiar with everything at that point.
Well, and that's what led you to go, hey, we got to check out this community that I saw today. And that's where we landed to live. We were like, oh yeah, it was. We've really very much enjoyed where we live now. I love where we live.
Yeah, that's how we discovered
I do.
Anthem, because I just happened to go up there
On a
and
delivery. Courier,
on a
drop off, whatever.
courier thing,
Yeah.
and otherwise I would not have ever known about it, because at the time it was not convenient.
No.
Since then they've expanded the highways, and the town's really grown up and stuff. It's been perfect.
Well, and we had a hard time finding it. We got kind of lost when we went to go find it because it was just they didn't have it quite mapped correctly. So we ended up in some weird spot where we wanted to go look at a rental. It was like crazy just to see what it was like. We finally got it. I don't know. I'm really glad we found it. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah. Another card?
Well, what was your life lessons? You didn't get one.
Mistake. What's the best mistake you've ever made and why? Boy. I don't know.
It's okay if you can't think of anything.
Well, I can't think of anything. It's not like I'm like saying I don't make any mistakes. I just can't think of a mistake I made that turned into something awesome.
Well, that's like the pros and the cons of doing the cards, because sometimes you can think of something and sometimes you're like, yeah, I got nothing. You can do another card.
Yeah, I'll probably think about it. Okay, this is beliefs. Is violence ever acceptable?
Is violence ever acceptable?
That's kind of funny considering our hotel thing.
Yes, violence is acceptable. Why would it not be acceptable?
And what kind of violence? Physical?
Well,
yelling? Where does that...
somebody does violence against me, am I not allowed to give violence back?
You gotta protect, I guess, on some level. There's got to be a line where you've crossed and you've got to protect someone or something.
Yeah, I think it's got to be circumstantial. If somebody's threatening you, somebody comes at you, like breaks into your home, you have every right to defend yourself.
There is an option for violence if you give them warning and they don't heed it.
You don't even have to. It's a stand your ground law.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You stand your ground.
And I won't say that's not necessily every state, but a lot of states have that if somebody breaks in, you have every right to do whatever. And now I would go, if I don't see a gun, or a knife, some kind of weapon, I don't care what the weapon is, because any weapon is, dangerous.
Yes. They can always come back at you, but
they can get.
That's not a reason to not have it.
I've seen training videos of how fast somebody with a bat or a knife can come at you. So a gun is the best defense in that situation.
It's a distance protection.
And I mean, I know people that have had to draw down in public situations as well. You look at that guy in the Indianapolis Mall that took out a guy that was trying to shoot up the mall because he was in concealed carry. So violence was necessary to put down violence. Violence begets violence.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we live in an evil world, and there's going to be some people that's going to be the only solution. So yeah.
So I think sometimes it is if you've got to protect.
But we've talked about this before too. It's like, if somebody's yelling at me or whatever, no, I'm not going to resort to violence. That's stupid.
No.
Because I've got several options. It's like, one, if it's on the phone, because I've actually done this before, I can just freaking hang up on you.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah.
Because I've made it very clear over the years, I'll only tolerate so much.
Right.
Because I only get so many seconds and so many spins around the sun. And I have no intention of wasting them on absolute morons. So, and that's...
Moronic behavior.
Yeah, and I've been yelled at in person, and I've turned around and walked away. It's like, so but we've talked about this on a prior podcast where that sometimes you're just playing in the gutter with them if you go to their level, and there's no benefit to you. So what are we doing here?
Yeah.
It's like if they're yelling, I'm supposed to yell too. Why? Why am I escalating it?
It becomes just a shouting match, then no one can hear anybody.
And if you're going to call me names or whatever, it's like, there may be that internal voice, because I had somebody say derogatory things about me one time to my face that were absolutely not true, and I was telling my inner voice, don't punch him, don't punch him, don't punch him, because but I also understood big picture wise what would happen to me if I did.
Yeah.
Because clearly I would have overpowered the person, and I'm not saying that out of cockiness. It's just that was the nature of the situation.
Yeah.
It would easily have gone in my favor as far as winning the fisticuff battle.
Well, and then what goes beyond that? How does that affect you beyond that? Sometimes that, and you can't always think of that in the moment, and you sometimes do something that you can't take back, and then it's like.
Well, and I've made it very clear there's not much that I would do to potentially lose my license in real estate, because I get paid in the thousands, and I will not be unethical. I will not break the laws. I will not get in a violent situation. I won't do anything that would get me arrested at all, because it can't put my license in jeopardy.
No.
Like, I don't drink. A lot of agents drink. And I'm like, well, you better have Uber on speed dial, because if you get a DUI,
they can suspend your license.
They can suspend your real estate license. So you got to be very careful with how you conduct yourself in public. Yeah. You remember the Nicolas Cage movie? This will be the last thing, because this will wrap this one up. But you remember the Nicolas Cage movie Con Air?
Yes, that was a good movie.
It was a great movie, and I highly recommend it. But the reason that so Nicolas Cage, he got in a bar fight, and he ended up beating the guy so bad, I think he killed the guy
because he was in the prison.
Yeah, and so the reason that they sent him to prison is because he should have known, based on his skill of being a military person, that he should have backed off, or he should have taken a less aggressive route. You have to be always aware of your surroundings, your ability, everything, and be able to keep yourself in check.
Rein it in.
And I ain't saying that it's always easy, because sometimes this world, it's challenging.
Just gotta try to rein it in whenever, really work hard and reining it in.
Yeah.
But be safe.
That was an interesting card. I did not expect that on our road trip. Such a serious card. But anyway, that's my opinion. It may not be others, but that's where I stand on it. I'm not always you can't always turn the other cheek, because sometimes the only answer is going to be, unfortunately, it's going to be violence to put down the bad guy.
Or diffuse, if nothing else. Like, rein him in so he can't continue his blows or swings or whatever.
I will say this, that I did have a scenario, it's going back about 7 years ago, where they were yelling and they were using, I will never ever use the Lord's name in vain, period. And people are like, well, you say the other curse words, and it's like, yeah, but that's different, because this is in God's top 10, so I'm not going to violate it. And I had warned this person to stop using the Lord's name in vain, because it was like every freaking other word, it felt like, and it was cringeworthy. And I told him, you keep doing it, I'm going to hang up on you. And he did it, and I hung up on him. And then he called back, and I immediately hung up on him again. And then he texted me, apologized, and moving forward, never use the Lord's name in vain.
Okay.
So,
He still worked with you.
It worked. Yeah, it worked. That was my creative way of getting them to stop.
Yeah, using something unpleasant.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just what I did. I'm not saying right or wrong, but that's just how I handled the scenario.
It worked out, though.
52 trips around the sun. I've made a few mistakes. Just a few. About, I think, almost a handful at this point.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap it up there. If you like the show, like, share, comment, leave feedback, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Go to dadsrealswag.com for all the latest swag, like this kick-ass shirt. Until next time, go out and be the kick-ass adult I know you all can be.